What up, nerds? Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, where today I'm going to be sharing some spooky standalone recommendations to usher in the fall spooky season. I curated this list bearing in mind that there are a lot of people who this time of year like to read some spooky stuff, but maybe that's not their genre of choice. I chose books that I thought were fun, light horror, those that I would also say would be great for introduction to horror for people that would like to try the genre. If you've read some of these books, or if you read some of these books and you want to take it to the next level on the fear scale, I do have another video planned called Haunting Halloween Reads that will be coming very soon that will absolutely move up the scale for you. So let's talk about these books. First on the list, I want to recommend The Cursed Among Us by John Durjan. This is a really fun 90s themed slasher that I had the best time with. I did talk to author John Durjan here on the channel about this book specifically that I'll have linked in the cards and down in the description below if you would like to check that out. This one is about a group of friends, teenagers, who are filming their own slasher horror film. They get caught up in an action scene, they find themselves in a forbidden part of the forest, they uncover something, things get set into motion. We get to watch all of that unfold while just being caught up in all the nostalgia from the 90s. Absolutely love this book. Next on the list is a book that I read the arc of years ago and it still sticks with me, and that is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. When I first started this book, I thought it was a comedy. The two characters that we were introduced to in the beginning, they were a pair of friends and they were absolutely hysterical. I was cracking up, having a great time, and then things got sideways really fast. There are some creepy elements in this one that's gonna get your pulse racing, but it's broken up by the humor of the two friends, and I just absolutely love this one. Next here is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. I do have a dedicated review that I'll link for you if you're interested. This book is so fun. It's also infused with creepy moments, but there's a lot of the time that you're spent wondering what's real and what isn't. And if you're someone who gets creeped out by mannequins, you might want to stay away from this one, but I hope you give it a shot. It's one of my favorites by Stephen Graham Jones. While we're talking about Stephen Graham Jones, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Mapping the Interior. This one is definitely much more serious in nature. Again, we don't know what's real and what's not. This story feels to me like a coming of age story. A Native American 15-year-old boy is struggling with the loss of his father and making sense of it, how he and his brother are treated because they're Native Americans at school, and also in regards to their tribe. They're somewhat estranged, and it's just a fantastic story. Next here I have The Unwelcome by Jacob Stephen Moore. This one travels in the same vein as The Cursed Among Us as just a really fun but also scary story. If you read the book's description, it tells you it's about a body snatcher. It's the most unique take on a body snatcher I've ever read, and if you want to have a little fun with a twist, after you read this one, the author wrote a short story called A Real Likeness that's in Night Terrors Volume 20, I believe, that changed my whole perspective on what happened here with these characters. Like, I need to reread this book after having read that story because, well, I can't tell you. Spoilers. But if you enjoy the cabin in the woods or camping in the mountains trope for your horror stories, this is your pick. Next on my pile is Nightmare by Chad Nicholas. This one I would say is more along the lines of psychological horror. This is one where the ending is everything. Not to say that the book isn't good. This sucker I read in one day. There are strange things that start occurring around this character named Scott that leads him to believe something from his past has come back to haunt him. And so there's this mystery about what happened in his past that might be coming back to haunt him, and the way these things are happening, you're not sure if it's really happening or if it's your unreliable narrator. But this one, the ending is absolutely everything. So my next pick is a slow burn, gradual type of suspense. It's more of the fear of the unknown, and that is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It is a slow burn. That doesn't mean it's not interesting and you're not going to be just flipping those pages, eating it up. What I mean by that is things unfold slowly. King introduces you to the town of Jerusalem's Lot, everybody in it. So when the unusual starts, you are 100% invested in these people. You feel like you know them. They're your neighbors, and it's so good. I won't say it's my favorite vampire story, and no, it's not Twilight. It would be the Necroscope series by Brian Lumley, so get that Twilight mess out of your head. It is my favorite of Stephen King's horror, at least of what I've read so far. I have some more here to read, so we'll see if that changes in the future. My next one is another book that started out very light-hearted. It's Horror Store by Grady Hendricks. I was fooled into thinking it was going to be one of those, you never actually see anything happen, you just see the after effects. And what I mean by that, so Horror Store is a spoof on IKEA, and the book is actually laid out like an IKEA catalog, but the store is getting vandalized after hours. So a manager and a group of employees are staying in the store overnight to see what's happening, to see if they can catch the culprit, because they have a big group from corporate coming and they need to make sure the store is in order. And it just took a direction I wasn't ready for. I was so surprised by how fast the switch got flipped when it got dark, but I absolutely love this one. It's my favorite Grady Hendricks that I've read so far. Next out of my pile here is Sean Paul Murphy's Chapel Street. This one has a seed of truth. There are things that happen in this book that happened to this author and his family in this particular house. I just absolutely thrive on those type of stories. I love when something about them stems from the truth. That just really ramps up my level of curiosity in two ways. One, I want to see the fiction that the author spawns from it, but I also want to know the truth, which you can find on the author's blog, which I will have linked in the description box down below. Chapel Street is the story of a man named Rick. Rick's family has been plagued with suicides. As a result, he's turned to researching and studying genealogy to try to reach some understanding about his self-destructive family. Part of that is he works for a website where people will put in requests where he can go and look in a cemetery, and see if he can find the tombstone of their lost family member and take a picture so that family knows where their loved one is resting. One of these requests leads him to a crypt where he does take a photo of it, and then things get crazy. Chapel Street is a mystery with a healthy dose of paranormal activity into it, and I just really enjoyed it. The book that I'm going to end on for my spooky standalone recommendations to usher in your fall spooky season is Braden Riddick's Ungodly. Ungodly has to be one of the most beautifully written supernatural paranormal stories I've ever read. There were times where I would go back and reread paragraphs. There was one time I went back and read a chapter more than once because it was so beautifully written. This story takes place on a college campus that's located on a mountain. It's secluded. There are strange things that start happening. I'm gonna tell you, never in a million years will you see where this one is going. I absolutely loved it. I love the writing style. I love the characters. There were a couple of character interactions that actually had me in tears. I was so touched. I love this one. I cannot wait to read more by Braden Riddick. It's absolutely amazing, and I know a lot of people don't ever reread horror or thriller once they know the outcome, but this is one of those that has a lot of reread capability. And that is it. That is the last one that I have here on my spooky standalone recommendations. It's a really good mix, a variety of different types of horror, so hopefully you find something in this list that you enjoy. If you do and you want more recommendations, all of the places where you can find me is going to be in the description box down below. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm so glad you stopped by to watch. If you enjoyed the video and you want more like it, make sure to hit that like button down below, and while you're down there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss those videos when I do get them out for you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.